Previously on People and Places. What is the history between these areas, especially from the Gamashi area and then the other parts of the Greater Accra region, the other gangs that are spread across the region?
You know, we are one people. It's only the language. Okay. The name. This is Numo.
So these are names of family houses?
Family houses and shrine houses. Every Ga person has a family house in this Gamashi area.
We pick up from this episode from where we left off in the last episode with Numo Blafo III. We take a sit down with him even as he shares the story of the Gamashi people of Accra. It's interesting, and I know this question came up some years ago when I worked with you. The question about traveling outside the shores of Ghana. How do you handle such a thing when you have to travel outside? Do you still go the same way, or there are certain rituals that you can pass through to be able to allow you to maybe just get into the shape of the other environments that you go into?
That would be especially when I'm going to, say, the cold regions, where definitely I will have to put on some footwear. Mm-hmm. So for that matter, there will be some rituals that will be performed for me to be able to put on some footwear. But immediately I return, the rituals will have to be performed to reverse,
so that you return,
so that I'll come back to my normality.
Interesting.
So we can enter the house.
And now, let's learn something interesting about Ghana. That's all for this week on Facts About Ghana.
Welcome back from the break. This is still People and Places here on Ghanaweb TV. We're still with Numo Blafo III. Numo, we're just from the shrine. We saw a lot of things. You had to do a number of rituals. Can you take us through all of those things up to the point where you even had to feed? Is it the gods? Tell us about all of those things.
Okay. You know, what you saw there are not gods, but they stand for a particular deity. But that is not the deity. If somebody say we are worshipping stones and wood or whatever, carving image, no. It is just a representation of what we have in mind. So, for example, as you are here, what you see here is not a deity.
Okay.
But then it is a representation of what we see as, or what we believe as a protector for this house. Now, this brings me, because this is an issue that I'm dealing with. Because if you look at the beginning of the construction of the pyramids, they started with these round pyramids. Then it migrated into the pyramid that we know with the square base and the pointed top. And then at the end of it, they created, or they constructed this, the Sphinx.
Yes.
And if you look at where the Sphinx is standing and then why they put it there, it was to guide or to protect the valley of the pyramids, or the valley of the kings. Now, I'm drawing attention to the pyramids, the Ga people, not only the Ga people, but the Ga and the Ewes, because it's like we have something in common. Now, if you go to every community, most of every communities, before you enter, you see what they call the legba.
Yes, the legba.
Which is similar to the Sphinx. Now, if you come to, there is a place at La called Numo. If you see there, you will see the square-based pyramid is standing there.
Okay.
And then when you come here, you see most
of the round
shapes. Okay. And the one who actually constructed the round-shaped pyramid is called Amon. Amon, or whatever name, the way they mention, but the name is Amon. And Amon is a Asren name. Asren Josh.
Okay.
Amon Koti.
Yes.
Yes. So I am trying, actually it's a book I'm dealing with now, to link this and then find out whether it is true, what I'm thinking. It is true that we Ga people are involved, or we constructed the pyramids in the Ewes. Because one thing too that I come to realize is that, or I came to across in my research, is that we the Gas are from Kush. That is where we migrated from. Kush in Sudan, Egypt, Ethiopia area, Kush.
Okay. So you're trying to draw that link to know whether or not the inspiration actually came from your people.
And so maybe that is just to remind us of where we are coming from.
Okay.
But not that it is a God we are worshiping, yes, but just to remind us of where we are coming from. Because why do I say that? The one who was said to have led us to this place is called Ayikushi. And Ayikushi is like, are you the Kushite?
From Kush.
Or are you from Kush?
Okay.
Because, for example, if, as I am now, and I have maybe 3 wives, and all of them, their firstborns are males, I have to give them the same name. If I give Lomoayi Senior, Lomoayi Middle, Lomoayi Junior, but then, because they are all Lomoayi, I have to find something else to identify them. So most of the time, we use where your mom is coming from. So if, for example, the first wife is coming from, say, Akotolante, so I'll say, oh, Lomoayi Akotolante. Then as we know the specific person we are talking about. So if the second is from Abola, the mom is from Abola, we can say, oh, Lomoayi Abola. That means the mom is from Abola. So that, you see, so like Ayi from Kush. That means that draws or that brings us to the knowing that yes. And then there is history that the Kushites were then rulers of Egypt. So actually, I want to draw that link.
That would be a big revelation if indeed that link is made And that would be some big revelation.
So actually that is where I am now, to do all, because I'm still finding certain records to actually buttress my point.
But is there enough for you to be able to read about or get to help you with this research?
That is where I am now. Actually, I have so much for the Ga and even our relationship with the other tribes and all that. But then I'm getting less from the Egyptian or the Kush side. But I have the belief, though I have some scanty records, but I know I need to do more research to actually get a concrete evidence to support the points I'm making.
All right. When we were at the shrine, we saw a very beautiful thing. When it was time for all the people at the shrine to partake in the meal that had been prepared, there was a particular order. Is there some significance to why or how that is done? Why was it done that way? And even when there was a point where the drink had to be shared, that was also done in a particular way. Can you help us understand?
Yes, it shows the order of seniority.
Okay.
Yes, because as a Wolomo, we have what we call, say, fighting, like the brother introduced to you on our way to the Sakumo Church. He cannot take before me. And then he too, an ordinary person or chami cannot take before him, before the ordinary people.
So it's just a hierarchy thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you see it, the way they share the drinks too, after they gave the Sakumo rum, then they came to me before the other Wolomo, and then there is a chief there, they served him, and then the other people. So that's the hierarchy we have.
Very interesting. We're going to be done shortly, but I just want us to round this up with the whole issue about the Gan people. There's a big conversation about the Gan people and their attachment to just their home. We've heard stories like that. People will say Gan people don't like to travel. Is this something that you think is true?
It's not true.
And why would even people think of things like that or say things like that? Is there a reason that it has become known that the Gans don't like to move away from home?
It's not true. I always say that, you see, you find the same attitude that you are seeing here wherever you go in indigenous communities. Because it's not only Ga people who have a community. You go to the Fanti area, they also have their indigenous communities where you see typical Fanti people and Fanti attitude. You go to, in fact, wherever you go, because after all, I've had the opportunity to travel to, say, Nigeria, and you go to certain communities where they are the indigenous people. It's like they also, that is where they are, and that is their, their
some attachment.
They have attachment to those places, and it's everywhere. Because when I was spinning, I'm high to different places in Ghana here, and any community you go, you find the same attitude there. Because you see, this is home. After all, when you move from say 10 meters, that's the father's house, 10 meters away from the mother's place. So if this place is not okay or is finding something difficult, you can just move just 10 minutes, few steps, you will find whatever he's looking for. So the person is comfortable. That's his comfort zone. You understand? But there are Gans who have traveled. It will surprise you that, in fact, there is one MP or aspirant MP from the north, I think Felicia Nati or something, who made some statement about these COVID money issues. Felicia Tete or something. You wonder, a Nodna, where is she coming from with the Tete? Nordness don't name Tete.
At least not for the Nordness.
Not
they are those from the coastals,
yes,
the Ewe side, the Gan side.
The Gan side. Okay. So you can see that it's a Gan who has gone there and then have children. And there are a lot of them there who are Ga people. Or even Dangmis. A lot. So now, let me just bring you to popular people we know. Do you know that Freddie Blay is called Ama? Ama. And then we have Amabua, who was former, I think, energy minister or something. The name Ama, where is it coming from? It's a Ga name.
Oh, but they are not from...
But they are not Gans.
They are not Gans.
But they might be Gans. But maybe they were born there. They've lived there throughout their lives, so they've become, natives of those places. But the name Ama, because in Ga, when we name Ayi, the following name is Ama. And it's only Ga names that have those names. Ama, Aya, Ayikwe, and all those names. You see? So, if they say Gans don't travel, for me, I don't believe, because my house, my mother's house like this, I know a lot of people who have traveled and they've even remained there, they are not even coming. A lot. And even all this area. Because you see, there was a point when they were saying that if, for example, chieftaincy issue, and maybe it is coming to this house, nobody knows whose son it will fall on. And they attribute the chieftaincy issue to fetish or paganism or whatever. And everybody wants to be seen as a Christian. So they don't even want to have anything to do with it. They can even borrow money and send their children outside. And some of those people have gone, and for how many years now? They've not returned. Now some of them are returning and they are causing problems. They've gone, they've worked all their lives over there, they've gotten money, and now they've realized that they are entitled to the stool. Because if you look at something that has happened in Gamashi, for example, this issue of Gamanche, it's not about anything. It's about people who have been, how do I say it? Away for long, made their money. And now because they feel they are also near to the stool, or they are entitled to, or they can assume the stool or assume their position, they use all the money and whatever they have to fight, and then that is what is creating or has created this Gamanche issue for us till today. Because if after Mugin's burial there was cool heads, or there were cool heads to have seen what to be done, if done it properly, we wouldn't be where we are.
Well, no, I believe that there is even more to have learned. Hear about the Ga people, but we appreciate that you've taken time to share some of the stories about your people, and also you have been really kind telling us about the work you do and all the significance, trying to clear out some of the perceptions that people have about the traditional priests and then what they do. So thank you very much for agreeing to speak to us, and thank you for sharing with us.
So let me say I appreciate your coming and then assisting us to project whatever we have that people have negative perceptions about it. Because it's just recently that I can see people are getting interested in the culture and traditions of the people whom they live among, and I think this will also let people know, those outside know, that whatever we do here is not something that we should take ourselves away from, because it's our heritage. It's our heritage. And I can also say on authority that we have a lot of people with problems because they have forsaken their houses. Meanwhile, it was from that house that you were trained, that you were looked after to become what you are today. But you are saying that what is in the house you don't like, but you want the house. You want the properties that what were used for to acquire those properties. You want those properties. but you don't want what was used to acquire Manyabla, what was used to acquire those properties. And I can say on authority that this is where a lot of people have challenges. So the earlier we begin to retrace our steps back to our roots, the better for all of us.
No, we're also grateful for the opportunity. Thank you very much. Well, so that's been our edition here on People and Places here on Ghanaweb TV with me, Etsey Atisu. We've learned some great history about the Ghan people and of course about their traditional priests, the Wolomos. So thank you once again for joining us. Remember, there is news for you when you log on to www.ghanaweb.com. As always, be kind to one another.
Thank you.